A very old homophobic trend within a lot of popular art is the idea of the queer-coded villain. Though these are often characters that queer people end up adoring, most notably a lot of the Disney villain pantheon, even if I don't particularly care for them, the intentions of these are quite clear. Expression and camp are seen as the enemy, they are seen as queer and deviant and evil. While this phenomena has been established and discussed, I personally have found there's another layer to it in some instances. That being, the audience's queerphobia is often heightened when the character is revealed to be this way after a stretch of time where they are assumed to be not, as opposed to being this way from their introduction. To talk about this phenomena, let's talk about The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess. I've made it pretty transparently clear that this is one of my favorite games of all time. One of my favorite moments in the story is when Zant reveals his true nature, when we see the man behind the mask is nothing but a fool. It's an effective twist that thematically fits with the game's concerns about the nature of power. Zant was nothing more than a pawn for Ganondorf the entire time, echoing how so often revolutionaries are the puppets of imperialists. While I don't have the time to get into the complex political framework of Twilight Princess or its dialectics in its entirety, though a dear friend of mine certainly has, I will say a few things about Zant. Zant is very over-the-top and loud and fun in an interesting way. The foreboding and stoic exterior is chipped away to reveal someone playful and free. It's a really interesting juxtaposition for the character to have. But Zelda fans really fucking hate this reveal. For some reason. So often online, you see people saying that this reveal was just a cheap way of segueing into Ganon being the final boss again, that it was a bizarre twist that made no sense. Why would the imposing Zant be anything but imposing? Well, the average person who engages with art disliking when anything in a story changes aside, I feel like in order to understand this reaction to the reveal of Zant being queer-coded better, there is another character we have to understand first. Ghirahim. Ghirahim is the main villain in The Legend of Zelda: Skyward Sword, the 3D Zelda game that immediately succeeded Twilight Princess. Much like Zant, Ghirahim is an extremely flamboyant and queer character, but this time on an even greater level. He's really feminine and bombastic, juxtaposed with his very deep and imposing voice. With that being said, there is a key difference here that I would like to highlight between these two characters. Ghirahim is openly queer from the beginning of the game. There is nothing about him that would suggest otherwise. In the case of Zant, however, it takes quite some time before his true personality beneath the mask is shown. Ghirahim, right from the word go, is sensual and strange. He tries to lick Link's ear in their first encounter. And that is the crux of why I think gamers reacted to him in a much more positive way. Well, quote-unquote positive. That is, they weren't tricked into liking a gay character. With Zant, there's a homophobic perception of a level of deceit to his queer coding. Subconsciously, a lot of people who perpetuate this see Zant as the game tricking the player into thinking a gay guy was actually cool, or something. I mean, you would never like someone so transparently flamboyant. With Ghirahim, it's so much easier for this player to accept. It's just out there on the table for them. But Zant was supposed to be an edgy badass. How dare he? This level of weird upset and sensitivity regarding queerness is extremely common when it comes to homophobia. That is, this narrative that you are always being tricked into perpetuating something queer. That queerness is, by default, something terrible and something hidden that good people are often led astray into doing. And that's where this hypocrisy lies. Ghirahim never makes people reconsider how they think about him. Queerness vilified from the start. Zant is hidden behind a veneer that dude bros might think is cool. There are probably better examples of this phenomena that I could have used. However, I find that Ghirahim was really my first exposure to this strange stereotype that exists in the space between queerphobic and empowering in some ways, and so I figured it was time to give him and Zant their dues. Zelda in general has been a pretty formative queer experience for me, from Sheik's transness to Link's gender ambiguity, and the dichotomy between Zant and Ghirahim is just another part of that. This has been Arcadian Everlasting, who will own up to the fact that the first boy she liked was fucking Ghirahim, signing off. Thank you for watching.